Before diving into this incredible story, remember to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. Here, every story has something to say, and you won't want to miss a single one. The sky over Greenfield was covered with gray clouds, threatening to weep over the cemetery at any moment. Raindrops gently pattered against the graves, creating a mournful symphony that seemed to accompany the silent procession. The guests, dressed in impeccable black, advanced with solemn steps, some exchanging glances, others barely audible whispers. Among them, Maya Johnson, a black woman in her 30s, stood apart. Her form-fitting black dress did little to conceal the elegance of her posture, yet she was ignored as if invisible. Some guests barely glanced at her, others offered condescending smiles or polite nods. No one seemed to recognize her, and this mildly irritated Maya. She wasn't there to be seen. She was there to speak the truth. The coffin of Elizabeth Harding, a powerful woman, a respected philanthropist, and a woman of mystery, she slowly descended into the pit, surrounded by white flowers and luxurious wreaths. Amateur photographers and journalists present took pictures of shocked or saddened faces, but no one paid any attention to Maya, standing in the mud, observing every detail, every gesture, every forced smile. Maya remembered every conversation she had had with Elizabeth. Confidences that the deceased had shared with no one else. Revelations about her life, her regrets, her choices, and above all, about the legacy she left behind, a legacy that no one here suspected. As the rain intensified, Maya took a deep breath. The guests averted their eyes, but she knew that when the time came, the silence would break. And when she revealed this secret, all those arrogant faces would freeze, powerless in the face of the truth they had ignored. Today, Maya wasn't just a spectator. Today, she became the voice of the deceased. And what she was about to reveal would change everything. Maya walked slowly down the main path of the cemetery, each step sinking her shoes slightly into the cold mud. Around her, the guests seemed absorbed in their conversations and gestures of condolence, but none of them paid any attention to her. As if she didn't exist. "Who is this woman?" whispered a voice from behind she. A blonde, elegant woman narrowed her eyes as she looked at her. "Fitz. I don't know, she doesn't seem to be from the family," replied another, older woman, shaking her head with a condescending smile. Maya felt a shiver run down her spine. Every word, every whisper, every averted glance only strengthened her resolve. She knew they would regret this indifference. She approached the grave, but with each step, she felt the weight of silent judgments. People were whispering, some snickering almost discreetly. "Look at her, does she really think she can impose herself here? Perhaps she thinks she's important, poor thing." "Girl," someone else sneered. Maya simply clenched her fists and lowered her head slightly. She observed the familiar faces, people who had once been close to Elizabeth but who had never taken the time to see others, those who, like her, were invisible to their eyes. Suddenly, an old man, a member of the Harding Foundation board, approached her with a forced smile. I don't think you should be, this is a private moment for the family." Maya slowly raised her eyes, an icy calm in her gaze. "I am here because I knew Elizabeth better than most of you. And I have a truth to reveal. A truth she wanted you to hear." The old man swallowed, surprised. The murmurs around them gradually died away. Maya knew that the moment she had been waiting for so long was approaching. The condescending looks were already turning into questions. She stopped near the grave, letting a light, heavy silence fall over the cemetery. Each guest sensed, without understanding why, that the day was about to take an unexpected turn. Maya took a deep breath, ready to reveal what no one was supposed to know. The wind was now blowing harder, making the black dresses dance and carrying away the fragile umbrellas of the guests. Maya took a few more steps forward, Elizabeth's coffin at her feet, the faces around her frozen by the rain and curiosity. She slowly raised her head, and her voice resonated with an icy clarity. "I am Maya Johnson." Murmurs immediately erupted. Some guests exchanged confused glances, others raised their eyebrows, surprised by the self-assurance of this woman whom they had ignored until now. I "I don't know you," stammered one elegant woman, trying to hide her embarrassment. "And yet," Maya continued, staring into the eyes of each person present, "Elizabeth Harding confided in me secrets you never suspected. She confided in me that I was her sister." A leaden silence fell over the cemetery. Even the rain seemed to hold its breath. The guests exchanged shocked glances. Some whispered, "His sister? But, how is that possible? I had no idea." Maya took a step forward, her gaze piercing, and continued. "For years, Elizabeth lived among you, giving the appearance of philanthropy and success. But she knew that true justice and true help they are not found in large institutions, but in those that you despise and ignore." The guests' faces turned pale. The old man from the Harding Foundation board took a step back, his hands trembling. The murmur turned into a startled buzz, and some tried to withdraw, uneasy. Maya raised a hand, imposing total silence. "Today, I am here to share this that Elizabeth wanted you to know, and you will understand that your judgments and your arrogance have never mattered." The tears of some guests mingled with the rain. Confusion, humiliation, and anger intertwined in every glance. Maya felt the power of the truth resonate around her. For the first time, those who had ignored or scorned her felt vulnerable, powerless in the face of the revelation that would shatter their perception of the deceased. The rain had stopped, but the air was heavy, thick with tension. Every guest held their breath, unable to tear their gaze away from Maya. She took a deep breath and let her voice resonate, clear and relentless. "Elizabeth Harding did not leave her legacy to large institutions, as you imagined. She didn't want that its riches serve only to embellish your names or your careers. No, she reserved everything she owned for forgotten communities, families who struggled in the shadows, to the children and adults you never used to look at." A stunned murmur rippled through the assembly. Some women covered their mouths in disbelief. The men on the Harding Foundation board exchanged horrified, helpless glances. The schools she funded, the hospitals, the programs for disadvantaged youth, all of this is for those you ignored, and not because of your names or your network social, Maya continues, relentless. An oppressive silence fell. The guests felt humiliated, trapped by their own actions. Some lowered their eyes, others clenched their fists, unable to retaliate. They thought they knew Elizabeth Harding, but it was Maya, the one they had ignored at the funeral, who now held the whole truth. Maya took a step forward, her gaze burning with conviction. "While you had your back to me, Elizabeth prepared to be the guardian of her heritage. Today, I am the one who will continue his work. And believe me, none of your judgments, none of your petty schemes, will change that." The guests' faces reflected humiliation, shame, and disbelief. Some were whispering amongst themselves, trying to understand how they could have been so wrong. Maya turned towards the coffin for a moment, gently placing her hand on the dark wood. Elizabeth knew that the truth was the most powerful legacies. "And I am the one who will carry it." For the first time since the start of the ceremony, the cemetery was no longer echoing with murmurs or whispers. There was only silence, heavy and solemn, like a tribute to the power of truth and Maya's regained pride. A few weeks later, Harding Manor, once a symbol of prestige and authority, had become the center of a silent upheaval. Maya Johnson, now officially recognized as the custodian of Elizabeth's legacy, greeted former funeral guests with icy calm. The same faces that had ignored and scorned her now stood before her, seeking advice or permission for their charitable projects. But this time, the power had changed hands. We would like to collaborate on the project Educational for Disadvantaged Children," stammered one haughty old acquaintance, unable to meet the gaze of Maya. "Of course," Maya replied, with a slight smile. Irony on his lips. "But know that every decision, every fund, every initiative will go through me. And I will not tolerate no more contempt or arrogance." The contrast was stark. Just yesterday, these same people had ignored her at the ceremony. Today, they had to submit to Maya's rules and vision. Revenge lay not in anger, but in the quiet, implacable power of truth. She walked through the rooms of the manor, explaining Elizabeth's projects to her new collaborators and partners, hospitals, schools, community centers. Every word, every directive, reminded them that Elizabeth's philanthropy was not for appearances, but for those who had been invisible to society. In the main office, Maya placed her hands on Elizabeth's desk and whispered, "You were right, Elizabeth, they ignored the truth, but today they must finally respect it." The guests, some humiliated, others impressed, understood that power was not always where one expected it. Maya had transformed contempt into authority, ignorance into respect, and the pain of indifference into a lasting legacy. The name of Elizabeth Hardinge would no longer be associated solely with wealth and prestige, but with justice, truth, and dignity. And Maya, her sister and spiritual heir, would ensure that this legacy continued to change lives, long after the scornful glances had faded.